Let's go then. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hello and welcome to It's in the Genes podcast, a podcast by the Digital Gene. My name is Declan,
And I'm Sharon.
and we're a mum and son duo and directors from the Digital Gene. Today we'll be discussing what's going on in our lives at the moment, and then go on to some digital techie, all sorts of topics. Bond films, the Netflix algorithm, how the EU wants all phones to have the same charger. Mum wants to speak about 100-year-old fashioned icons collab with H&M. She wants to do a homage to Sir Clive Sinclair. And then it is Mum's first go at the business highlights section. And for this episode, she has picked Snag Tights. Hello.
Hello. How
Are
art
you
thou?
okay? Pardon?
I said, how art thou?
I'm good, yeah. Yeah. I was trying to think what I'd been up to in these 2 weeks, so I managed to get fuel okay for our weekend away this weekend, so that's gone mad, hasn't it? Everyone
Well, it
panic
seems to
buying.
be bad for you in a large city. It's not hasn't been the same for us here.
Oh yeah, well I had to go to 3 garages, but I got it eventually.
So let's
Um,
not go there and add fuel to that fire.
what fuel? To what fire?
Talking
Where's the
about it
fire?
on media.
Oh,
Oh my
oh,
God.
are we gonna add to the fuel crisis, like with how many people
Adding
listen to
fuel to the
this?
fire by talking about it in the media because all those
In the
people
media? That's
all
so
those
funny.
people who listen to this podcast be like, so we won't add to that.
Oh God, I love it. It's like we're BBC Breakfast or something. Don't talk about
An
it.
offshoot.
I did a Lord of the Rings marathon at the cinema this Sunday, which was really cool. I didn't end up going to Birmingham Pride because I couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, but you were ill the next day because of that marathon.
I had a headache on the morning, Mum.
Don't want to say I told you so.
You didn't tell me?
But I did tell you on the morning the reason why you would have the headache.
Yeah, because I did get to see them on the IMAX screen, and it was pretty amazing.
How large is that screen?
I don't know actually. I can't. I'll
It's a
have a
big one.
Google.
It's a big one anyway, isn't it? So you were I'm not saying you were staring at that for the full 12 hours, but maybe 10 and a half hours, 11 hours of that 12-hour marathon.
Yeah, it's 24 meters by 14 meters.
So it's not really rocket science to hazard a guess that you had a bad head the next day.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing Bond on there tonight, which I can't wait for. So,
Is that on the
um,
IMAX as well?
yes,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
yeah. So seeing that
Why don't we
tonight,
have anything like that here?
I know, seeing that tonight, but sorry, I'll just have a bit of my cup of tea. I was
I noticed that cup did I give you that? Have you stolen that from home? Because
well, I kind of
it's
took
emblazoned
it
with a
when
very
you said,
large S on it, which
yeah, because I said I wanted a teacup where it was massive, and this is massive.
so as I do with everything, take it, Declan, take it.
But yeah, but I tweeted yesterday saying that going to see Bond is still a bit weird because it was the first film that got pushed back due to COVID.
Yeah, because it must
'Cause
have been very early on in the lockdown that
it was
happened.
meant to come out in April 2020. So obviously, when things started to go a bit wrong,
Mm.
they removed its release date. And I just thought it kind of feels like a bit of a come full circle moment that I'm finally getting to see
So
it.
the phoenix out of the ashes, is that somehow sort of resemblant of that we're coming out of all of that now, that's back?
Yeah, it feels like it. Yeah. But
Let's hope,
y-
eh?
have you seen all the rumours of who the next Bond is going to be?
No, I don't spend as much time on Twitter as you,
Well,
Declan.
but you're always on social media, so I don't know
I
how you
am,
don't
but I
see it.
don't think everything filters through as quickly as it does if you're on Twitter. All the newsy stuff.
All right. Well, I just find some people's predictions is just so far off. I saw Tom Hardy, who I think would be rubbish.
I think he'd be rubbish as well.
I think Idris Elba would have been good, but I think he's too old now.
Oh, I would
He's
have
not
loved it.
old. He's not old, but Daniel Craig's done it for so long now. I think Idris Elba should
Oh,
have started ages ago.
I'd love Idris as it. I
Yeah, but
think
he's
I
old
think
now, isn't he?
I think even at his age now for a Bond, I still think he'd be cool as AF.
Well, everyone, my personal preference, I think, is that actor from Bridgerton.
Oh, right, okay.
Is it Regé Jean Page?
Yeah, he's got an unusual name, but he's a Londoner, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and I just think he's quite young. He's got the suave,
got the swag.
yeah. And someone mentioned James Norton, who I always thought would be quite good.
I thought you said Graham Norton.
Oh yeah. They were all on Graham Norton on Friday. Did you
I know I
see?
still haven't watched that. No, no, no.
I never know it's coming back. You kind of just think, oh, there it is on
I know
iPlayer.
you said
I
to me,
didn't
"Did you
know.
see Graham Norton?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"No, I had no clue it was back.
yeah.
I need to catch it up."
And then Henry Cavill as well, but I don't think Henry Cavill's good enough for Bond, to be honest. Um,
Oh, but he was good in that other movie the Mission
he was good in
Impossible.
Mission Impossible, but I thought, oh, would he be good as a Bond villain then instead? But God knows what
I
direction it's going to
can't
be.
picture him. I can't. He's got a lot of the right attributes as Henry, but I can't picture him as Bond. I think you're right. He would be a really, really class villain.
Mm,
I don't know who I
yeah.
would choose. I was rooting for Idris for ages, and it never happened. And like you said, it doesn't. Are people throwing his name into the ring again? Or
Well, people are saying the boat's probably sailed on him though.
oh,
Still,
it's such a shame because I think it was just a role meant for him. Wasn't that? Isn't that awful when you think something past I mean, he probably doesn't think it, or maybe he does, but if there's something that is just so close yet so far that passes you by in your career, I think we can all sort of relate to that.
mm, yeah. Have you
Maybe
seen
you
all
not
the?
yet, you can't because 'cause you're only 27, but, you know, there comes a time when you think, "Oh, that boat sailed."
Mm, yeah. Yeah, but there's plenty of other roles these days. It's not well, there always has been for older men in Hollywood, but I think it's getting better for older women. Older, I don't
I
mean.
think older women are having a bit of a moment, aren't they, the last 2 years or
Yeah,
so? Yeah.
yeah. But my money's on Roger. I don't know if it's I think it's Roger Jean Page, from Bridgerton, because he's not even in this second season of Bridgerton either. Apparently, um, not that they've said they're not going to start casting till
How can
next
he
year
not be in the
anyway.
second one? He was one of the
Because
main
the
characters.
focus in the instead of him, it was like he was the main focus of the first one, finding him a wife, and apparently the second one's going to focus on that her brother was it with the big sideburns.
Oh, right, okay.
Um, yeah. Although they're not starting casting apparently till next year, but um, and Dev Patel as well, which I think he would be quite good. But
Oh, I love
I've
Dev
seen
Patel.
I've seen all those headlines about it's like it's just
I
stupid
just
because it's
watched him
gonna.
in something recently, Dev Patel, and I can't remember what it is.
Did you watch The Green Knight in the end then?
Oh, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I watched The Green Knight. Oh, can we talk about that?
Go well, you can because 'cause I've
Well,
not seen it.
yeah, I mean, you haven't asked me how I am or what I've been doing.
I haven't got to it yet, but I've got
Oh,
it
you're still so
to
full of yourself at the minute. Okay. Go on then. Well, The Green
No,
Knight, for the
did you
purpose
enjoy it?
of the audience. Your brother said, "Oh, it's really slow and it doesn't speed up any." And but it came on. Was it Netflix? Did it come on Netflix?
Amazon.
Amazon. And so your dad and I decided to give it a go on Saturday evening. Um, and yeah, it was slow. And honestly, I felt like I was tripping. I was like, what is this about? There is so much symbolism and how do you say it, iconography in it. I said to your dad, just pause it a minute because I'm gonna Google. I'm gonna Google about this Green Knight, who he is, and whatever. So we did a little bit of research about him, and obviously I think he was a nephew of King Arthur, one of the knights of the Round Table. Um, and so once you had a little bit of background, and maybe other people going into it would have already had that background because they would have been a big fan, and that's why they would have been watching it. But you know me,
Mm.
I like all of that sort of like fantasy type stuff anyway, don't I? So I'll give it a go regardless. But once I had a little bit of background knowledge, it all really started to make sense. Um, and I really enjoyed it. Wasn't too fussed on the end in mind, but I guess why it ended like that, and I won't spoil it for anybody who may be watching it.
No, because
And
I want to see it as well, actually. Yeah.
but yeah, your dad and I, once we had that bit of background knowledge, we were like, "Oh, right, right, yeah, 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 I get it now." So we stuck with it. It was quite a long movie, quite a long
Yeah.
movie. But
I
actually,
remember seeing it, but doesn't it have like different stories? Doesn't it? Isn't it like?
it flips
Is it?
backwards and forwards. You know, one of those ones where one minute you're in that story, and then it flips back to another time, and then it comes back in. So you really got to keep on your toes about. Oh, hang on a minute. So now that's from when he was there. Oh, and now he's back here. There's a lot of that going on,
Mm,
um, and sometimes that really unsettles an audience, doesn't it? Because they can't keep up. It's one of those movies that you could probably watch over and over again and you'd see something different every time. You'd get something else from it. So actually, off the back of that, I really enjoyed it. If you just watched it without really having any clue about the story that it is trying to tell, I think, yeah, a weird one. But once you have a little bit of background knowledge, so that's what I'd recommend. Read up a little bit on who the Green Knight is, and then the movie will make lots of sense, even though it still is quite trippy.
right. I
Is
know
that
the
is that a good
story
review? Is
behind
that a
it.
good review
I
for
know the
you?
story. It's like somebody kills the Green Knight and they get given his powers, and then in a year they have to die potentially.
Sort of. Yeah.
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 Well, that's the premise, I think. But
Yeah. But
yeah,
it is worth a watch, but just give yourself a little heads up by reading up a little bit about who the Green Knight actually was.
right, right. And then
Um,
before we get into some like actual defined topics, do you have anything else?
oh, you're coming to me now, are you? So what have I
I
been
was
up
coming.
to? Obviously,
Yeah.
you came home. You came home for a long weekend, didn't you? Since the last, actually,
Oh yeah.
when we recorded the last podcast, you were just about to come home the next day, weren't you?
Yeah.
And we had a nice trip out, didn't we? We went to Saltburn on the train and had um a good time eating and drinking in everything that Saltburn has to offer.
Yeah.
Um, we didn't actually get down to the front, did we? In the end,
Yeah. We did.
did we? I can't remember. Oh, we walked down the hill, walked back
Yeah.
up, and then had a drink at the hotel on the bank there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't you have a lemon top?
I didn't because I had
No.
had a dessert at the restaurant.
Oh, as you always do. So what else have I been doing? Finishing off house renovations, pulling my hair out, waiting for carpet. Lots of work, really, head down with work projects. What have I been up to other than that?
I don't know.
Can't really
I'm not
think of
there.
anything. I don't think I've been out. Out.
You
Um,
have.
I
Yeah, weren't you
haven't.
out with the weekend? Just gone.
Oh, I met a friend for lunch on Saturday.
And you went to see
Um,
Duran Duran.
oh, of course. You see, I forget because that was all happening just as we were recording the
Mm,
last episode. I forget that that's actually happened in the last 2 weeks. Yes, I went to see Duran Duran at Scarborough Open Air Theatre, and they were fantastic. How could I forget? And they were actually on that concert at the weekend on TV, so that sort of made my weekend as
Oh, that
well.
global citizen thing.
Yes,
I
yeah.
didn't know, but I didn't know what was that was
Didn't know
happening.
that was
But
happening, didn't even know that was a thing until I think we were watching something and that popped up. Oh, but talking about TV, I can't let the podcast pass and not talk about Strictly.
oh yeah,
Oh, I was crying over Strictly. 2 reasons. First, Strictly has that warm, fuzzy feeling of like you're putting yourself on the sofa. Well, actually, you do actually put yourself on the sofa, but it has that feeling of wrapping you up in a big snuggy blanket and making you feel like everything's okay.
yeah.
You know, when everything, all the crap that's been going on in the world, when that's back, you just feel like, oh, normality has resumed, don't you?
Mhm.
I just it just gives me that feeling, and then I don't ask me the names, you'll be able to tell me the names. The 2 same-sex guys, like
John and
John and
Johannes.
Johannes, yeah. Um, Absolutely knocking down those boundaries.
Mhm.
Like, I feel emotional now talking about it. I actually got really tearful watching them because not only were they fantastic for week 1, weren't they? I mean, there was so
So
much
good.
great stuff across the whole, across the whole show, wasn't they? How good some
Mhm.
people were just for week 1s.
Yeah.
It always surprises me how some people actually knock it out of the park. And actually, on the launch show, being laughing at Greg Wise, who I absolutely adore as an actor, Emma Thompson's husband, laughing at him on the launch show, saying, "Oh, he's going to be the dad dancer of the show," and actually, how much he'd picked up since then. He was actually really, really good. So there was that. There was so many people that were good, but those 2 guys, I sat on the sofa there, and the tears were in my eyes because not only were they good, but obviously the boundaries that they are knocking down, and to think that that's prime time TV, and this is happening now. And I was tearful, and your dad goes to me, "You're gonna be ringing Declan in a minute, aren't you?" And I mean, I didn't ring you, but I think we were on the family WhatsApp, weren't we, chatting about the different things? And we sit there, don't we, like as if, you know, we are champion ballroom dancers critiquing. Um,
Yeah.
I guess all those millions of households who are literally like an episode of Gogglebox, aren't they, with those shows?
Mhm.
And yeah, it got me. It got me. I thought they were fab. So
They were good, like so
yeah.
good.
They were really good. And then to top it all, Married at First Sight this week. I shared on my Insta stories last night the same-sex couple who have renewed the vows on that at the end of the show. And, just really going for it and thinking, oh, I really want them to, for this to continue and for them to be happy. Because, yeah, just really pulls on my heartstrings. And obviously that's being the parent of a gay child yourself, isn't it? That's how it has that effect on you. Um, so yeah, it
I
means a
guess
lot. It
so.
means a lot to me to see that represented because I know then how that must make you feel because you can see yourself in other people's stories.
The thing is, it's a mixed feeling because it's good to see, but it also makes me sad in a way because I wish it had come 10, 15 years before it did. Because
I get that. I get that.
to have seen things like that at really important stages of your life and to be represented when it felt important to you,
Yes.
like I think that would have
Yeah, but you
changed
have to
the.
think, look what it's doing for those kids who are like you
No,
now,
I know,
don't
I
you?
do. I just think it's a shame that
Um,
my generation didn't get that. But
but
no, it's good.
you laugh, don't you? Because I often think I relate to the other side of the coin when you were at that concert recently, and that woman got up and had a kick off with some of the security, and you just
Oh
think,
yeah.
oh, there's the real person. You've come to
Mm,
see somebody gay in a concert on a show, but like that's the real you.
mm.
So yeah, there's still lots of barriers to climb over, but I just think that was amazing. And if nothing else, oh, how sexy did they look?
I know.
You were saying that as a gay man, but even me thinking, wow, they're sexy.
It was just the whole dance was just
Everything about it was
Just
brilliant. You
yeah,
can
just
you know,
sexy as.
just as when you see, you know, a man and a woman dancing, traditionally, that's what we've always seen, isn't it? Just as
Mm,
you can look at them and appraise them and think how sexy they looked and how hot they looked, you can do that regardless of who's dancing, can't you?
mm,
And,
yeah,
yeah, it was a big moment for me as your mum.
cool.
So that's it. So now we're looking forward to a family weekend together, aren't we? Another one.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
sick of the sight of you, so gone from
That'll
like
be it. That'll be it till Christmas. Is that what you're
never.
saying?
Well, actually, I was looking at my calendar and I thought it could well be. Um,
That's fine. All the more to want to see you. That's
yeah.
fine. But yes, we're off to stay in a cottage for 4 days, aren't we? In a place called Sands End, which for those who aren't local to us is near Whitby. Everybody knows Whitby, don't they?
Hmm.
Um, we've got some nice restaurants booked for food, starting with lunch on Friday afternoon when we arrive. So very, very excited. Excited
Okay,
to
so
play board games and drink wine and watch Strictly.
hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, let's
Let's move on. Let's move
let's
on.
move on. Okay. Right, so I wanted to um just quickly mention, I know in the last episode I spoke about Leeds Digital Fest, but I went to a really cool online event and it was all about the climate, like the carbon footprint of your website and different. Well, it wasn't just about websites; it was also about other bits and pieces about your footprint to do with tech. But what was quite refreshing to hear was that basically, if your website is done to best practice, so all
Done
the kind
to.
of
You mean built? Done
no,
to.
I don't mean that. I don't mean built. No,
What do you mean?
I probably said it wrong, but I don't mean built with best practice. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. But anyway, it's not important. Um, the basically, if you tick off all of those like ranking factors and all those kind of different things, it also goes in hand with probably that your site will have a lower carbon footprint. Um, good clean code, less plugins, up to date plugins, image size. So all those things that go in with what how you rank and good for SEO and all those different things also helps reduce the carbon footprint of your website. You can go on websitecarbon.com and you can run your site through and see what it gets. The digital gene was 73% cleaner than all the other web pages that were tested. Every time somebody visits a web page on our website, it produces 0.43 grams of CO2. And like, I knew it would, but when you hear things like that, you just think everything does, doesn't it?
Yeah, you do. You definitely do.
Just everything just produces it because you think, oh, because it needs energy to load that web page. The only thing that we could improve on is there's a few hosting companies now that use green hosting, um, which means that the power that they use is being generated by renewables. Um,
As we sort of use such a forward-thinking hosting company, I'm sure that's something that they'll probably be thinking about.
mm,
Um, yeah, it is interesting. I just don't think that you realise that everything needs power
mm.
when you're typing
Which sounds
away.
daft, though, doesn't it? It sounds daft when you say it, but
Yeah, I
we're
guess
just
it's
so.
how do we think the internet works? We don't actually realise that it's one great big enormous machine that needs
Mm,
power to do everything. You don't really realise that, do you?
no, no,
Interesting.
but
I'm glad to see that we came out so well.
so am I actually.
Yeah.
But no, it was interesting. So I just thought I'd mention that. So check your websites, guys. You can reduce your carbon footprint by um, cleaning up the act of your website. So what else? What was next? What was next? Let me have a look. Oh, the Netflix algorithm, right? I'm going to talk about this because obviously Netflix is a digital platform and we didn't have it before. So now and again, Netflix just throw something on and they don't do any kind of marketing.
Mhm.
Don't talk about it. It's like they'll have spent millions creating a show, but they'll just flick it on. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
And sometimes something really bizarre happens, and some programs become a word of mouth hit.
Mm.
Do you know what program everyone seems to be watching at the minute? Do you know what I'm talking about? No.
No.
Squid
I'm
Game.
Oh, yeah, I do know, but I haven't watched it.
But like it's one of those shows that just didn't get served in algorithms at all. And obviously just a few people must have what found it and then told everyone how good it is, and now it just everybody's talking about it
I watched the
everywhere.
trailer. I watched the trailer and I've
Well, I've
saved
watched
I've saved it.
the trailer because it's Korean, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because I had a discussion with some of my friends saying, "Would you watch it dubbed or with subtitles? What would you do?"
subtitles.
Yeah, I can't stand dubbed when the
No, it
mouths
takes too
don't
much of
match
my
what they
attention
say.
away.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm trying I
no,
feel like you're sort of in a time warp somehow. I don't like dubbed at all.
no, I don't. I like to see the mouths moving with the sound.
Yes.
It's really off-putting. But no,
Yeah.
I just thought they just drop these programs on now, and they either disappear into the ether and hardly anybody's watched it, or they become
So
a massive hit. So,
that's obviously intentional, isn't it?
well, I don't even know.
It would be
Would it
interesting
be?
to find out if it's intentional, if they're testing things, because they talk about the algorithms and the fact that, you know, that little section you might also like or whatever it's called because you watch this, you wonder how clever that is. Is it just down to keywords? Is it down to genres? You do wonder how clever that is, but I guess maybe they're actually testing their own artificial intelligence, couldn't
Yeah,
they? Yeah.
could be. Yeah.
It's interesting, but yeah, I did watch it did pop up for me because sometimes when, like you say, when you just land on Netflix, I saw something last night, and I thought, "Oh, I don't remember putting that on my," when it says it's coming to watch and then you save it. I don't
Mm.
remember putting that on my saved list. But yeah, that popped up like that, very much like that, and watched the trailer and thought, "Ooh, gory." But actually saved it to my watch list and thought that's one I'll come back and revisit. But I have seen just a few, one or two people talking about it on Instagram, saying they'd watched it.
And what else was I going to say? And then Midnight Mass that we're hopefully going to binge watch over the weekend together when we're away. It's only 7 episodes, one we can easily do
We've
it.
saved we you told us I had to save that, didn't you, so that we could watch it
Well, it's
together
a
and frighten
scary
me.
one. It'll be good. Yeah. Like who is Mike Flanagan, who did Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor that everybody seemed to watch. I feel like nobody's watching Midnight Mass.
Because I guess it was at a time, the others, when we were really heavily in lockdown.
Not the
Haunted
first one. The first one was Normal Time.
Was that The Haunting of Hill House?
Yeah, which was amazing.
So I feel like everybody watched that. Not as many people watched the next one because it wasn't that good, really, was it? Bly
Well, it was all
Manor.
right in the end. Yeah.
Um, this one I've got big hopes for.
Yeah, I have. Apparently, it's
Um,
amazing. So,
who said it's amazing? The reviews.
so many people, yeah, who I've listened to said it's
Throw
so
throw a
good.
priest into the mix, a bit of Catholicism.
Yeah,
They're always going to be scary, aren't they?
they are. They are. Um, right, let's move on though. I can't remember what was next. Oh, so just quickly, the EU wants all phones to have the same charger, um,
Mm. And
which
Apple's
sounds
been
like
saying, "Oh no, we can't have that."
yeah. So they've said they want everyone to have a USB-C, which would be standard across devices. I don't know if this is like the EU courts taking on big tech again. They seem to now and again just European consumers were frustrated long enough about incompatible chargers piling up in their drawers. So, but it's just, I wonder why.
You wonder why what?
So Apple are obviously really against it. Um,
Yeah, because they
and
won't be able to make
they
lots
get
of money.
sneaky that they get sneaky now because like when you buy a new phone, you don't get a charger anymore. Which I think they wrapped around with a bit of PR saying, well, it's because you everyone has like a lightning cable these days, so we don't give you another one because it's wasteful. But really, it's because they want you to buy another one separate.
Mhm.
It's like the way they design them. Sometimes you think if they designed them so after a year or so you need a new one.
I've I've said this for a while. I feel like your battery life and everything, like most, I always buy a phone on the 2-year contract thing, and then I
Mm,
renew it then. And I do actually notice a difference as the 2 years are coming round. I
mm,
feel like that's all they're meant to last for. I mean, don't get me wrong, you could probably keep using it past that, but I do notice a difference in its performance, its battery life, as you approach that time, as if it's like trying to tell you new phone time. Do you know what I
I
mean?
know. Yeah, it's just I'm just reading now the digital age strategy of the commission said the decision to move to require universal chargers came after companies failed to find to a fix themselves. Oh, so they've like let the market try to do it themselves.
But they
You
haven't.
would have like, well, no. So now they're intervening, and if it gets passed, then it'll be they'll be given 2 years to adapt. So not straight away. But it's like
So if we're
who
not in the
decides
EU
like
anymore, how does
does
that affect us though?
it probably won't affect us, but you would have thought if
We need it to though.
well, if the EU, which is a big huge market,
Yeah.
need all phones to have the same charger, you would say think it would probably spill over to other
Why aren't
countries
we in the
because
EU? Don't you just feel left out now?
let's not even get into that
Let's
kind
not
of
get into
discussion
a
now.
deep conversation about that, but it's just, oh, just, yeah.
Mm.
But I do think it's something to cut down on all the waste. Like, these big corporations will find a different way to make money. You know, that's
Oh
why
yeah.
they are these big inventive corporations, isn't it? They've got the finger on the pulse of everything. You know, take away the option for them to get people to buy into to new chargers and everything all the time, they'll find something else. So, how much better is the planet for that short term for us all to use the same charger unless it breaks? I mean, it just makes so much sense, doesn't it?
Mm.
It's crazy
Yeah.
that we just have this throwaway thing. It's been the same with cars. It's the same with everything. You know, fast fashion. You know, how people just buying 99 pence t-shirts and going, "Oh, it doesn't matter if it gets ruined, I'll just bin it."
Mm.
You know, whereas when you invest in something, you take care of it. You take care of it because it was your hard-earned cash. It costs a lot of money, so you look after it. And, you know, I remember, I know we're digressing a bit here, but when I my very first job was in Edinburgh. I lived up in Edinburgh for a year or so, and, I don't know if are the Jaeger group still around?
Jaeger.
Jaeger. I don't know if they're still
I
around.
don't know.
But anyway, they were a really high-end store at the time, high-end brand, and when I got my first paycheck, I went and bought myself this most amazing camel winter coat. Really smart, really classy, something that I'd always wanted. And I remember at the time, so we're going back to the late 80s, the late 80s, and
Mm.
the mid to late 80s. Can't remember the actual time, but it was definitely in the 80s. Bought this amazing coat, and at the time it was £199. And I
Which is a
bought it.
lot.
I bought it with one of my very early paychecks, and boy, did I look after that coat. It looked amazing on me. I felt like $1 million each winter. It was the classic camel coat that you could style up for the winter, dress up and dress down. And I must have had it for at least 10 years. And I think I actually passed it on to somebody after that for them to get the wear out of it. and to
Mm,
use it. And it was only because I probably just got sick of seeing myself in it. There was nothing at all wrong with it. And again, I did that with one of my very, very first handbags I bought. Again, with another very early paycheck up in Jenner's, the big famous store up there, like the Harrods of Scotland, isn't it?
mm. I've
Um,
been in there actually.
yeah, I bought my very first designer bag in there, and that again at the time was probably a couple of £100, and I gave that to your grandma, who then passed it on to my auntie, her sister. It's still
Hmm.
doing the rounds, do you know what I mean? So, it's all about, like, if you buy well, the longevity of things, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Yeah, it does. It's a shame when it's all fast fashion, but that's the system we built, to be honest.
Oh, I know, and that's the platform. Instagram totally buys into that, doesn't it? With people that, I often laugh. People who saying there's sustainable fashion, sustainable dresses, and I think, geez, you've got a lot of clothes then in that case,
Mm.
because they're not really.
Or they buy them and just sell them.
Or they use them for an Instagram post and send them back.
Well, yeah, potentially,
Yeah,
yeah.
there is a
Mm.
lot of that. Do you remember when ASOS were going through a lot of that for a time? It seemed, and
Well,
they sort of
especially with
changed their
Klarna, it's
return.
like you don't even have to pay for it, really, do you? You just
I mean, that
throw
makes a
it in.
lot of sense for me. When you're a mid-sized gal like me, sort of in between two sizes, and I must admit it's less and less now. When I buy something from say ASOS or H&M, I've got to really understand what fits me from there now and what won't. So
Hmm.
it is less and less of doing that, but it does help for things like that, so that you can send them back without having to, because sometimes, obviously, I've worked in this space as well, and I know how long refunds can take to get back to you.
Yeah.
And for some people, managing their cash flow like that, their personal cash flow is imperative to paying the bills, isn't it? So there's pluses and minuses of all of that. We've talked about Klarna and those type of things before, haven't we? So yes.
Cool.
Next up,
Right, it's on to your topics.
okay. So I don't
100-year-old
think,
fashion icons collab
yeah,
with
100
H&M.
Iris Apfel. I remember. I I don't know whether we've had a conversation about her or we've mentioned her on the podcast before, but you said you didn't know who she was, and then you looked up her. I said search on Google, and then you're like, "Ah, right, right," because there must be a million memes. She's
Yeah,
iconic
it's
because,
glasses.
yeah, she's iconic
Yeah.
because of the way that she looks, and there's prints. You can buy prints of her. There's memes of her. She's a person that people aspire to. And actually, just recently, last month or maybe the month before, she actually celebrated her 100th birthday. I think
Mm.
she's brought out she's collaborated with a spectacle brand over in the States, and she's brought out, you too can wear those jazzy specs like her, and she's just amazing. Um, and like I guess the second half of her life, all of the things that she's managed to do, it's very inspirational. And as you know, I am a massive pro aging fan. When you're in your 20s, like aging doesn't mean anything to you. Although the way you go on about your skin and your wrinkles, sometimes I'm not so sure. Um, but when you're
I
your
wouldn't say
age,
I'm in that young age I don't care about aging anymore. Once you're 25, apparently you start dying. You do?
you start dying the minute you're born, Declan.
No, no, but it's something like 25, your body isn't that's the moment it's downhill from there.
Is that peak performance and then it's gone?
Yeah,
I'm
apparently.
not sure I've heard
So
that one. I'm not sure
that's
I've
how I
heard that
felt
one.
at my peak. I'll dread to think what I feel like when I'm 16. So,
It's amazing, isn't it? It's I always say to your dad, if you can keep your brain healthy, if your brain remains active and healthy and can still do all the stuff that it's able to do, science can take care of quite a lot of the other things, can't it? Like good old Iris there, she's obviously not running marathons or anything, but she's still obviously very savvy, very sharp, witty, and 100 and doing all of this, and it just makes you think, "Oh my god, if I by any chance live to that ripe old age, please let me be an iris because that's what I
Hmm.
want." And anyway, H&M, I love it when they do these collaborations. Can never afford anything, by the way, because the collaborations are usually crazy prices. You'll see like a pair of earrings like 59.99. You're just like, wow, the earrings, 60 quid for the earrings. But when this comes out, I think it's ready. I think it's going to launch in January 2022. So I'm really excited to see what it looks like, see if I can afford anything, and see if I would actually buy anything because it would be a great to have a piece of fashion history like that, as I believe these pieces will be. So go Iris, that's what I say.
Right. And how does that relate to digital techie things?
It doesn't. It
No,
doesn't
I'm
really.
winding you.
It
I'm
doesn't
winding
really,
you
and
up.
I and
It's
I
fine.
know, like, lots of our conversations don't really. They're
Yeah.
just, popular culture, as you like to say. We do
Mm,
like to have a nod at popular culture, and Iris is definitely part of popular culture now.
mm. I'm just. It's funny because we're on about digital tech. I've just seen an article there that, but I won't. I won't bring that up now. Just pop up on me computer.
Are you
Why
saving
tech?
it for next episode?
Maybe. Why tech billionaires want to leave humanity behind?
Oh, they've had enough of us plebs, have they?
Well, they're all off to space, aren't they?
That's what I'm saying. They've had enough of us plebs. They're going off to
It's not that
be
they've had enough.
elitist.
It's because they've effed up this planet, so they're off to do it to another one.
Yeah, exactly. They've had enough of us.
Mm,
They're going to be elitist on Mars or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, off you trot then.
What else was I going to say? Right. So before we get to your business highlights section, we wanted to. Well,
Oh, I
I
haven't
didn't
spoken
realize.
about Clive, my
No, that's what I'm
namesake.
saying. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. I said I didn't want. I didn't know about him until I read the article. But
Yeah.
turns out I probably want to pay homage to him because
Homage.
we wouldn't. The world wouldn't exist. So who was he, Mum?
I
If
thought
people
you were
don't
saying
know.
you wouldn't exist without the homage to me, having been his namesake. Well, I'm not called Clive, obviously. Sinclair. Sinclair. He's not related. Sinclair, obviously, is my maiden name.
Mum, I don't care about that. Who is he?
Sir Clive wasn't related to me in any way. He was the daddy of one of the very first
The
desktop.
daddy,
The daddy.
the
The
father.
daddy. Well, whatever, the
You don't
father.
say that. The
Can't you
daddy.
say the daddy? Does it
That
sound like
means
he's a...
something. That means something completely different these days, Mum.
Oh, enlighten me.
No,
It's
absolutely
not
not.
something you can say on a podcast?
I mean, I would, but I'm not going to. The daddy of computers.
What, is it something to do with being a sugar daddy or something?
No, Mum.
Oh, okay. You will have to enlighten me then, because I don't know. Maybe not do it now then. Although I'd like you
No.
to make me laugh, please.
What am I, like a chimp or something?
I haven't had a
Like,
belly laugh for a while.
I'd like you to make me laugh, please. Um, can you say who he is, please?
Okay, so he's the father, yeah, of home computing, basically.
Right.
So, and he's just died recently, and everybody back in the day, everybody used to laugh at him as well, because aside from being the father of the home computing systems, he also used to come up with some pretty wacky inventions now. And on this article that we're going to link from The Guardian, you can see there him sat on his C5. Have you any idea what a C5 was, Declan? Think it was
No.
called a C5. Anyway, it
Yeah,
was
it
some
was
sort of
an
little,
electric vehicle.
yeah, it was some sort of it was, some sort of personal electric vehicle. Never really took off. Wonder if they would take off now. Actually, they need to hover, don't they? Then they would take off.
Who
If
are you
anybody,
talking to here? And
yeah,
I
who am I
always love when
talking
you
to?
do that. Like, oh, I forgot to say, obviously, with me Lord of the Rings rewatch, by the way, I was laughing at it quite a lot because of Gollum.
Because you're in it.
No, because me and Mum have this like joke when we say we when we're just referring to ourselves. As
Yeah.
we say we're like Gollum, and we like Gollum, but no, it was.
Who
Well,
are
do
you
you remember
like?
those?
We,
Did you remember
we.
those scenes where he like talks to himself in the in the like a puddle, and he'd be like,
Yes.
"No,
Yeah.
yes." That's what it reminded me of.
And that's
Uh,
us when we're talking, isn't it? Yeah.
apparently, which
You had to
yeah,
be there. Yeah, anybody listening
clearly.
think, "Oh, yeah, okay, clearly you had to be there." But anyway, Sir Clive died. He passed away at the grand old age of 81, which actually I would have thought if somebody had asked me how old he was, I would have thought he was about 100 as well, because it seemed
Mm.
like he was around forever, and 81's not that old these days, really, is it?
It is
Um,
for a man,
oh, is it?
I would say.
And women
Yeah.
last a bit longer, do they?
Yeah, because you don't do anything all your
No,
lives.
women last a bit longer because they're the workers. That's what
Right.
keeps you going. That's what
Oh,
keeps you
I
going,
thought
you
it's because you
see.
just sat on your ass and you didn't do
No,
anything.
that women are the workers, the workers of the beehive. That's what keeps them going. Doesn't the
Right.
queen die off?
When the queen dies, they all go.
Because she doesn't do anything, does she? Anyway, yeah, let's have lots of examples of the natural
I'm
world
obviously
to
joking, by the way.
oh, yeah, I would like to think so. I've brought you up better than that, Declan.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, Sir Clive, he's died. But what I'd commented on a couple of LinkedIn posts because people were talking about it last week, and it brought back such memories for me. And it's weird, isn't it? How it, in some ways, you think, oh, it's come quite full circle. So when I was 16, I had a Saturday job in WH Smith's in the shopping centre in Middlesbrough, and we
Mhm.
at the time I was brought on as a Saturday girl to work on a new and exciting project that was going to be called that was called not was going to be but was called the SPD, the Special Products Department, and it was set up to sell techie products of the day. Okay,
Did you?
and
That was hard to get out.
I know I couldn't get it out. I felt like, what's happened to my teeth there? So anyway, techie products of the day. One of which was the range of computers by Sir Clive. And obviously, again, having my surname and all that connection and whatever. And it just gave me a massive throwback to the time. How much that people wanted one of those computers. It was I don't know whether I've ever told you about this. I used to go to work on a Saturday morning, and as I used to duck down under the shutters to get into the store before it opened, the queue, like you see queues now for like Kanye West trainers or I don't know, whatever. You see those
Mhm.
crazy queues for things. That's what the queues were like outside WH Smith for the ZX Spectrum or the ZX81 or whatever it was, the different versions that came out. It used to be crazy. The queue used to be weaving its way around the shopping centre because people were coming in either to order and put a deposit down in my little red book that I had to pay the deposits because they wanted one of the next batch, or they were coming to collect their new computer. It used to be amazing. And the funniest thing was I had to know the ins and outs of these things to be able to showcase them to the customers who were wanting to buy one. I was like, how have I come full circle from that to this? And along the way done so many other different things. And yet that's how I started out. It wasn't my proper job, as you say, but it was my Saturday job whilst I was at college, and that I sold those on the special products department. And the other things that I had to know about were cameras. I mean, like I can't work anything now, can I? Anything that's outside of my comfort zone that's new, I'm like, kids, how does this work? Um, I guess now it would be selling phones, wouldn't it? If it was a new thing now, that's what it would be. But we used to sell ink pens and the Schaefers and the Parkers and all that of the time. Fabulous, fabulous ink pens. And I think that's probably where I honed my writing skills, which I've now lost, sadly, as you constantly remind me. But yeah, it was just a massive throwback for me that the way that people went crazy over his computers. Like everybody wanted one of those in the homes because it was the next big thing, and just how far we've come since then, and what an amazing guy he was. So yeah, sadly gone, but leaving an amazing, long-lasting legacy behind.
Oh, well, it's good that we recognised him on this, which I think I've just sounded really insincere, but I didn't
You
mean
did
to.
sound really
And
insincere.
wasn't it nice
Yeah,
that we
yeah,
recognised
okay.
him?
Next.
No,
That's
no,
what it
no.
that's what it
Well,
sounded
I
like.
get conscious of time as well. But just quickly, I was in a WH Smith yesterday evening, and yeah, it was getting on for 6 o'clock, so it was fairly quiet. But I walked in and I thought, how are these shops still a thing?
I don't know. I don't
They
know how
must
they
make
are.
loads of money at the airport ones and
Keeps them open.
the like road services to keep them open because the shop, it looked like, like when a shop takes away a load of aisles as well. It looked so drab and depressing, but they're the only place I could think I could get plastic wallets from. So that's what I did.
What did you need those for?
I just wanted some for me organising things.
Oh, you're organising. You like to organise, don't you?
Well, it's for work, but
I could have given you a ton here that I never
oh
used.
no, it's fine. It's
I could
fine.
have
I'm not
brought them
waiting for
tomorrow.
things like, oh, how exciting. Here's your plastic wallet.
Here's your plastic
Um,
wallets.
they were only
Here's your
2 quid.
plastic wallets,
But
son.
anyway, let's move on because I do in this, as I said on this new series, I am wanting to keep under an hour. So you've got 5 minutes. It's your
Yes,
big
well,
turn. It's your turn for the business highlights
obviously
section.
you
So
obviously you have picked this new section where I guess, are we bigging up a business that we like?
whether it's for that you like, whether they um, do something like socially that's good, or
Yeah.
if they're
Well, I'm going to talk about
or if they're
inclusive. I'm going to
if they're really good at digital or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk about inclusivity today because when you mentioned on LinkedIn earlier in the week, and you posted something about the type of things that we're talking on this season, this latest season of the podcast, and you talked about the last company that you'd highlighted, which was Airbnb,
Mm.
and one of your followers said, "Oh, a company that I like is Snag," and I was like, "Snag." Tights. Yeah, I really like Snag. I've never actually bought anything from them because I can't remember the last time I bought a pair of tights. Um, but I follow them on Instagram and I've seen other people really rave about them and the types of things that they do in. So let me tell you this about tights. Trying to get a pair that fits is horrendous. Yeah. Tights are one of those things that like most women wear, but you know, the fit of them is terrible. And so if you aren't how can I put this? If you're not the standard size that society thinks you should be, yeah, finding a pair of tights to fit you is an absolute no-go. And that's if you're small and if you're larger. Yeah. If you fit into those standardized sizes of your 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, then maybe your tights might fit as a push. If you're long waisted or short waisted or tall or tiny, tights are just a minefield. Honestly, they're terrible. If you find a brand that fits you as a woman or anybody else who wants to wear tights for that matter, you're like, "Oh my god, I need to buy more because these really fit." Yeah, and that's it seems like one of those things where there are few and far between, so when you find something, you buy a lot of it. So Snag as a company have niched down into that market, and basically they're a brand that makes clothes, actually makes clothes now, have started to make clothes, but launched onto the scene making tights for everybody. And when I say tights for everybody, it was that they believe that tights should fit everyone, and so they have a range of tights that fit unbelievably. Can you get this? From size 4 to 36. Size
Wow.
4 to 36. And when you think your average shop sizes are at 8 to 18 or maybe 20 if you're lucky. What are you laughing at?
No, I was just the thing that came to me head when I heard size 36. 36.
Somebody size 36 might be our biggest fan for all we know, Declan.
Well, there might be, but I didn't think
So
that
don't
existed.
go. Don't go. 36.
Well, mum, that must be huge.
Well, it is, but regardless of your size, you might want to be able to wear tights to not only look fashionable, but to keep warm as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as a business, what I really like them is that they're a fair employer as well. They pay everybody the living wage, which I really like to see more and more. I've actually said that I think we should apply for the living wage pledge as well, because I feel like it's something that I think we should talk about, because obviously we pay a living wage to ourselves and to anybody that we get to work on projects with us. Um, we're a big, massive advocate of that as well, aren't we? And so
Mhm.
they've really built up a community. They state that everything that they do is carbon neutral. They use recycled water in the dyeing process. They only use single-use plastic-free products when they can in the process. They've got a big, massive sustainability and environmental policy on their website that they share. And I just feel like they're doing lots of things right. They're making things affordable. They're making things available to, to a community. Like, I mean, and as you know, tights for drag queens. Like, can you imagine those guys? Some of, the problems they'd have getting tights to fit them. They're not going to have a problem here going to Snag, are they? So
No.
I just really like their ethos, and I think that they're doing some great things. I've seen somebody that I follow on Instagram who works with them, and she's a plus size lady, and she shouts from the rooftops about what a great company Snag is. And as I said, they've also branched out now into clothing. Because they've had such a good uptake on the tight side of the business that, as you would try and branch out. And they're always testing things. And what they do is they actually get real people to test their products, which I think is a massive plus as well, isn't it?
Mhm.
Instead of on these thin stick models,
Skin
um,
stiff.
skin stick, they actually test them on their customers. They give them to their customers, to their community to try out. So it's a massive big up to me for a company like them. And it was, as I say, it was from one of your followers, Snag, and I was like, oh my god, yes, I do know Snag. I followed them for ages on Instagram. Um, so yeah, I think they're doing great things and definitely one to watch.
Oh well, that was concise. Well, thank you.
Well, you told me to keep concise. I always
No,
like doing as I'm
sound,
told.
yeah, no, it sounds good. Sounds good. Just I'm a bit bewildered by 36, but
Oh,
no,
that's
I
still
get
in your
it.
mind, is it?
I get it. They're inclusive. They're fair. Do they do digital well? Would you say?
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job digital. I think they're doing a great job using influencers and real life customers to promote their products. Their website works great. Yeah, there's lots and lots of information on their website. The only thing I would say is on some of the product sections, I'm forever scrolling, which I don't like on product pages. I feel like the products are never going to end, which is great to know that there's lots of products, but I'm like, I would prefer a breaking point so that I know there's actually more, not when am I actually going to get to the end of them and not realize that I'm at the end. That sort of, have you done
Mm.
that on a
It
website?
just keeps going and going.
Just keeps
Yeah.
going and going. You think, "How long have I got?" I just wanted to
Mm.
jump on it to see what they had, but it's just keeping going. I'm not a massive fan of that. But other than that, I absolutely can't fault them. I think they're doing, and what a niche to get into, tights. Who would have ever thought of that? But it's proved and proving to be, you know, a really good market for them, and that they're being able to speak and be heard by the people that need them.
Cool. Well, thank you. And with that, we'll wrap up then, shall we?
We're wrapping up. It is
Yeah.
good if you can if you can count the clock down instead of just, I guess, us what we've done in the past is just like waffle for ages. It's good to have the
Yeah.
clock. I think we should actually have a physical clock counting down so that we
Well, there is
waffle
a. You
even
can
less.
see how long it's been going if you look down on
Oh,
the
you can,
frame.
yeah. Forget about that.
Yeah.
It's not big enough for me. Can I have a great big one, please?
Yeah. Thank you for listening to this episode of It's in the Jeans podcast. You can follow us both on Twitter. I'm at Declan Williams _.
And I'm at before end date.
We are at it. It's in the Jeans pod on Instagram, and on Twitter we're at in the Jeans pod. You can follow our business at the Digital Gene across socials. Please like, share, and write a review for this podcast, and use the hashtag It's in the Jeans pod out on social. All
Oh, I've
right, we
enjoyed
done.
that chat today, Dex.
I should do that Bond I'm off to go see
Oh,
Bond.
do you remember when your
Patrick,
brother
my
your
brother,
brother did
yeah.
that at primary school?
Patrick was in an oh, he'll kill us for bringing this up, but
Bring
he
it
was
up
in
though,
an
it's so good.
assembly and he went, the names. Was it Williams? Patrick Williams, like this. It was
I don't
so
know whether he
funny.
said Patrick Bond even, did he?
Oh, it was, and he
But
had
wasn't
his
he
hair
dressed in a
all
little?
like, yeah,
Yeah, he was dressed in a little tuxedo, wasn't he? And then he did
yeah.
that. Name's Patrick. Patrick
So that's our editor, everyone that we're on
Bond.
about
Yes,
there.
he edits this. So as he
Right.
listens to this, he'll be going, "What the?"
All right.
All right,
See you
cheers,
tomorrow,
guys.
Mum.
Bye.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.